So today we are going to graph linear functions in standard form. With these, they're in the ax plus by equals c form, and so there's two different ways you can either do this. You can rewrite in y equals mx plus b, and then graph by the y-intercept and the slope, or we can just find the x and the y-intercept and graph. So it's completely up to you, whichever one you're more comfortable with. So I'm going to try both of those. I'll try one of each of those. So a letter A here, I'll just go ahead and graph this one using the x and the y-intercept. So if I were to go ahead and graph this using the x and y-intercept, I'm going to find my x-intercept here first. So I am going to go ahead and use up my cover up method here. So I'm going to cover up the y portion, and I end up getting x equals 6. For my y-intercept over here, I'm going to rewrite the original equation there. I'm going to cover up the x in this case. So covering up the x, I get negative y equals 6. I'm going to divide both sides here by negative 1, so I get y equals, and I get y equals negative 6. So, and I've got my x-intercept and my y-intercept there. So my x-intercept is where it hits the x-axis. So that's that horizontal line. And the y-intercept is where it hits the vertical axis here. So that's down here at negative 6. And then I can simply connect those 2 points. All right, so that's a way that you can graph that linear function using the x and y-intercept. So my next one here, I'm going to go ahead and put it in y equals mx plus b form. So if I were to do that, I'm going to get this negative 5y all by itself, so I'm going to move the negative 2x over on the other side. So I get negative 5y equals negative 2x plus 10. I gotta get rid of this negative 5 next to the y. Divide everything in here by negative 5. And I get y equals a negative divided by a negative there is a positive. So I get 2/5 x. And then 10 divided by negative 5 there is a minus 2. So if I were to graph this way, my slope there is my m value, which is 2/5, which is my rise over my run. And then my y-intercept, or my b value there, is negative 2. So again, the y-intercept is where it hits the y-axis, and it hits here at negative 2. And then from that, I'm going to rise 2 and run 5. And there's my graph. So it's up to you. Do you want to put in y equals mx plus b form, or do you want to cover up the x and find the x and cover up the x and find the y-intercept, and then cover up the y and find the x-intercept? So let's do the cover up method for this one. So if I were to find the x-intercept, I'm going to cover up the y and solve for x. For my y-intercept here, I'm going to go ahead and cover up the x this time. So I get negative 3y equals 4. Divide by negative 3, and y is negative 4/3. So now I can graph this out. My x there, x-intercept there where it hits the x-axis, it's there at 4. My y-intercept there is negative 4/3. And if I wrote that as a decimal, if I did negative 4 divided by 3 on my calculator, I'm going to get 1.3333. So that would be a negative 1 and 0.3. It's probably about right there. And connect those, and there it is. So again, you get to choose which one you like. So our next there is x equals 7. This one here, you're just going to have to recognize that this here, when you've got just an x equals a number or a constant, this is a vertical line. And when it's x equals, if you remember, that's where it hits the x-axis here. So the x equals is here over here at 7. And then I'm just going to draw a vertical line right through that. So when you've got an x equals, it's a vertical line. When you got a y equals, it's a horizontal line. So we've got a few more here to do together here. So let's try these out as well, as we're looking there at 3x minus 4y equals 12. And again, you get to choose, are you going to put it in y equals mx plus b form, or are you going to go ahead there and just graph it out? So using your x and y intercept. So if I were to use my x and y intercept on this one, I use the cover up method. I'm going to cover up the 3x. I get negative 4y equals 12. Divide by negative 4, and I get y equals negative 3. So that's my y-intercept. So my y-intercept there is at negative 3, which is down here. And then my x-intercept, I could do the same thing. It was 3x minus 4y equals 12. I could cover up the minus 4y here, divide both by 3, and I get x equals 4. So my x-intercept there is 4. And then I can simply connect those 2 points there. And there I've got my nice linear function. And then letter F over here says x equals negative 3. Again, we just see an x equals. We know this is a vertical line. The x-intercept there is at negative 3. And I'm simply going to draw a vertical line right through that. And I'm finished. That's only true when you got x equals just a plain number or an integer or a number, if you want to say that. So that's how we can graph the linear functions when they're in standard form. Either switch them into y equals mx plus b and identify your y-intercept and your slope, plot your y-intercept, use your slope to find the next point, connect those points, or cover up the y and find your x-intercept and plot that, cover up your x and find your y-intercept and then plot that and then connect those points. So you can have at it now.